Welcome to Humble Hospitality, episode 7. Back again with DP.
Yes.
Good to see you, Chief of Staff.
Excellent to be back, sir.
I feel like I haven't seen you since this morning.
No, I know, since our meeting. I feel like I see you way more now. I don't want to say too much because that would be rude, but a lot. Just kidding.
That's all right. That's all right. What did we get done today? We got a couple of things done.
We did. We got
More
a lot
shirts.
of stuff done. We got more shirts, got more pens. I got you wine keys.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Did the Oyster Bar ones come in?
We ordered them.
Excellent.
Yeah. So
We got a toast grid.
you got yes, we have a new toast grid. If I send you the picture, I can get that right. It'll be right here. This is going to be how to make toast right there. So you'll have your
Toast
A
spectrum.
column and your.
I was
number
actually
column.
surprised about how many different shades of toast there are. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was an official
There's only
picture.
like 10 of them that are edible.
True.
Yeah.
Dave Levitt said, he's like, I hope you did that at your house. And I was like, no. I Googled it. I was very resourceful.
Can you imagine? That's what, 10 rows? 10 across? That's 100 pieces of toast.
I don't know. Lindsay's making the toast grid so we can refer back to...
I'll ruin the surprise. Stimmels is printing you a toast shirt.
Really?
Yeah. Yes. He was like, hell yeah, I'll do that. And I was like, great, thanks.
Excellent.
Yep.
Tell him to make like an Excel sheet so we can get we get E7 colored toast or like Battleship.
Oh, Jesus.
Anyway, here we are at the promenade.
Yes, so we always talk about it.
Which
So-
is yours and Matt's fault, by the way.
Yeah, fault. I wouldn't call it that. So if you watch us and not listen to us, you get to see the promenade.
Yes.
This is our catering hall, wedding venue. We're upstairs. It's a 250-person venue dedicated to whatever the hell we want to make it dedicated
Yeah,
to.
weddings, corporate events,
Wine dinners.
wine dinners. We've got some planned. We've got some brunches planned, some holidays planned, all kinds of great stuff.
Excellent.
And
Forward to it. I know a really good DJ company.
I know a very good videography company
Yeah, same.
taking care of us right now.
Yeah.
Ayala Films. Shout out to Andres Ayala. Thank you. Dealing
Taking boomerangs of us.
with us in our quest for leadership.
Yeah. The quest to teach leadership.
Quest to teach and to continue to learn and understand.
Absolutely. It's number one.
But it's also all of them.
I love it.
Do you, Dave, love it?
Speaking of love it, Mr. Lovett couldn't be with us.
Nope, we're, you know what? It was great. Excellent shout out to Mr. Levitt. We were planning on having him come and rejoin us since last episode was fantastic. And he said, he took a little ownership, a little leadership, and he said, you know what, we're rolling out a new cocktail list at the Ocean tonight. And since he's the director of cocktails and beverages, he said, you know what, the team at the Ocean, he's like, they're pretty beat. This was a big weekend, which it was an amazing weekend at all the locations. And he said, you know what? He's like, I've got energy to give, so I'm going to get in on the front lines and get in and make it happen. And I said, excellent. I'm going to go do the podcast, and I'm going to come over and join you so we can cover and move a little bit. But
Well, if you want, I'll come over. I've never had alcohol, but I'll try some of the drinks.
yeah, I bet you haven't. Yeah, come try the drinks. Let us know how they are. They're pretty spectacular. So yeah, so excellent leadership out in the field right now by Mr. Levitt, getting in and engaging his team so they can be successful, and he can answer any questions and pitch in if necessary. It's a busy night over there tonight. It's peak of season, so this episode might be a little short, so I can get back over there and as well. But I didn't want to disappoint you and not have your week of your weekly
Mondays are 15-hour days.
installment of leadership.
10 of them are spent on the podcast. You guys don't know that. We only cut out what we could. I'm just kidding. People are like, really?
So you know how happy I would be if we spoke for 10 hours about leadership?
Yeah. No, I have a great idea.
I'd be very happy.
And I'll say absolutely 10,000 times.
Absolutely.
See?
See?
It's contagious.
Well, never mind.
Don't do that. That's what she said.
No, I was going to say that. I was going to say something much more horrible.
Great.
But we'll stay professional. All right. Last episode was an awesome episode. We went a little long, which is good. I like when we get to go that in depth. And we got through one chapter. Again, we're trying to make this a 3 part series on the one book. I don't even know. We're episode 5 of this series, I think, and we're in chapter 9. But you know what's really good about the last episode, and if you haven't listened to it, go and listen to episode 6.
The link will be above my head.
Yep, we covered the law of intuition for leadership, and it was great because there was actually a situation in, a couple situations that we addressed this week in the restaurants, and I actually looked at one of the leaders and I said, "Go listen to episode 6." We were talking about a couple things, I said, "Go listen to episode 6, and let me know when you're done listening to it, and let's chat." And sure enough, next day, he was like, "Man, that's exactly what's going on. I know exactly what I need to do." And I was like, Good. I was like, "Cool." I was like, "How can I help?" He's like, "You already have." And I was like, "All right, cool. I'll come in and check up on you and let me know what ideas you have and how I can help, help you make those help make those ideas happen and come to life." And you know what? We knocked it out of the park, and it was a complete 180-degree turnaround from a couple of things that we were working on within days from the team,
Great.
And so it was awesome. So it was great kind of solving some problems through leadership, and most notably, it happened to be the chapter that we were covering. It was awesome.
The irony.
Yes,
Uncanny.
but that's what's great about and that's literally the idea of and the power behind why I want to do this, because not only is it helpful for the leaders in our team, mm-hmm. but also beyond, for our industry, for our community, for other industries. But it's just great to be able to have a resource and be like, I talked about this exact thing with somebody else, and go listen to it,
right?
And think about how it might pertain to your situation, and pick out only the things that are relevant, But we have this digital library, right?
Yeah.
Is really cool.
Never forget everything you said, because even if you do,
I forget everything I said.
Well, I'm saying, but you don't have to. It's recorded.
I know. How many times I talked about? I'm like, I don't remember what episode it is. I talked about it in the podcast. So like when we get to like episode 150, I'm like, I really don't know. There's lots for you to listen to. Just go through it and.
Poor Chelsea. She already says I don't listen. It's not that I don't listen. I just can't remember. Kyle talks too much.
Oh yeah, blame it on me. Blame it on me. Sounds like you should take
a
a little ownership.
A little ownership of my own. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, but no, it was great. And you know what? So for those watching or listening, the only thing I have to say is hopefully this continues to pertain to help improve or give you another perspective, I think is the better term, to look at situations and how to solve some situations, in your own organization or even in your personal life, because this is all. Leadership is literally based on relationships, right? So, but yeah, I just thought it was very exciting to kind of go through that, look at it through the lens of leadership. I've had a lot of leadership conversations since the last time I saw you, and so it's good to just be able to tie all these things back together. Very exciting. So
Me too.
So, with that, let's continue on our quest to learn more about the tools in our leadership toolbox. How's that sound?
Sounds great.
We're getting into chapter number 9. It's called the Law of Magnetism. Who you are is who you attract. Now, it's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah. I've always said this. Everybody, and I mean everybody, says the same thing to me. Oh, you live in Port St. Lucie? There's so many crappy people there. No, there's not. If you're a crappy person, you want to be around crappy people.
Agreed.
That is that. I mean, I have traveled the world. I've DJed in 20-something countries. I can't even tell you how many cities I've been in America. Believe me, there's shitty people everywhere.
I know. I've lived all over.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Small mind mentality. But anyway, sorry.
No, but it's true. What's funny is I remember when I read through this, and I read this book years ago. I've read it again a couple years later, and then I read it again to go through the podcast. And I just remember, I don't know, growing up, how many people were told this growing up. I was, and I remember my dad specifically. He's like, you are who who your friends are.
Mm-hmm. You are the company you keep.
Yeah, you are the company you keep. So it's kind of like the inverse of this, but depending upon which perspective, it is the exact. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you are.
It is very broad.
Who you are is who you attract.
You literally just said how this pertains to, and we're already in it. Look at
already in it. See,
deep diving.
And that's what's great about leadership and about when you dig deep into it to understand it, you realize it's almost like a codified blueprint for just life in general. And the more I learned how to study, apply, and practice leadership, like the better my personal relationships with people got.
Right.
Or to the point where I realized, hey, you know what? This isn't a good relationship for me to be in. This isn't who I am, so I'm not going to be, overly friendly with this person or intimately related in this relationship, whatever the case may be. Like this isn't benefiting me. People are like, oh, I'm living my best life and all this like whatever nonsense. But no, this isn't really enriching what I'm trying to accomplish and help me with my goals, my dreams, my aspirations. So, people say, oh, cut off toxic people. It's exactly that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so through leadership, but you're able to kind of make these little check marks of, okay, boom, boom, boom. Like this is a good person. This is a person of good character, integrity, or not so much. It doesn't mean you have to write them off, but it does. But you also don't have to go hang out with them every weekend either, right? So, and same thing.
So is that why I never got phone calls?
No, you were busy. I was busy.
I'm kidding.
No, you were doing Doug stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Talk about that off camera.
Heard off camera. No, but it's very. What's the word I'm looking for? Sometimes you get me off track. The law of magnetism is very powerful, especially when related to business and leadership in organizations. Because if you have a leader of good character, good integrity, and good competency, they're going to seek others like that. Does that make sense? And when you look at organizations that have the opposite, leaders of questionable character, not so great integrity, then they wonder why they're surrounded by people that lie, cheat, and steal from them all the time, and taking over the building, 4 years ago, turning into Kyle Cheese, everyone's like, oh, well, how are you going to make sure people don't steal from you and this, that, the other, and, the hospitality industry, everyone's always stealing from the bar and this, that, the other. And I said, yeah. He said, or I could just create an environment that makes it conducive so they don't have to steal to pay their bills.
Yeah.
Maybe I could treat them like human beings and treat them with dignity, honesty, respect, integrity, and help them build something collectively that's better than them on their own,
Yeah.
And it took a while to weed some of those individuals with questionable character, to say the least, out.
Dismal at best.
And we had to make some examples, but that's leadership, right?
Yeah.
Because if I just allow that, the best way to lose a great team member is to tolerate a bad one. So
I'm getting pretty good at this.
You are getting good at this. It's almost like you have like a front row seat to this on a weekly basis. Yeah, but so anyway, fast forward 4 years. Here we are. And yeah, sure, we have a zero tolerance policy. If you steal from our guests, our team, or the restaurant, you're probably not going to have a job. So is that $40 or that shot of booze worth coming home and telling your significant other and kids, hey, well, I don't have an income now.
I can't put food on the table.
Yeah, especially. I mean, not for nothing, but our team, they do financially well. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, but because we created an environment where people don't have to do that, because I'm not going to steal from people. I'm not going to be like, hey, I'm going to dock you 5 minutes because you sat down to eat a sandwich.
Right.
I worked for a guy, I'm not going to name any names. I worked for a guy who, if you worked over 8 hours, and it was here locally in Jensen Beach, I was his executive chef in 2013.
Okay.
Narrowing it down here.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us the month? No,
yeah, sure. It was July 2013 to somewhere around April or May of 2014. It was right before I went to Eddie V's. Mm-hmm. And talk about poor leadership. If you worked, let's say you're my line cook and you worked 9 hours, he's going to dock a half hour from your pay, which is illegal. And then he would also, and he justified it by saying, oh, well, you ate food.
Oh.
So you owe me a half hour worth of pay because you had a 30-minute break. And so he tried to tell me that, and I was like, well, A, that's illegal, and B, they didn't eat, we're busy as shit. No one's had the time to sit down for a half hour. And if they did eat, they were standing up, scarfing some chicken fingers while working. Like, you know, because I'm short-staffed because I can't hire anybody, right? So, you know, we got to argue that point a little bit, and I get where and I do get. See, here's the thing: you gotta have a little empathy. I get where he's coming from because he had a hotel background from like the 40s, you know, and back up north in the hotels. The laws are if you work 8 hour shift, you have to clock out and eat. Well, that's a labor law for the state. That's not Florida. Florida, you could work 32 hours straight.
Yeah.
Dude, the state doesn't have to give you a break. They don't care. They're like, too bad.
Yeah.
You know. So, but anyway, he was surrounded by people that just took complete advantage of him. You know, and you know, you are the company you keep.
Yeah.
You know, you look at someone's friends and you know who they are, right?
Yep.
You look at their 5 closest friends and you know who they are.
True.
Right? Or you got a pretty good gauge. You're about 80% accurate, and that's pretty much enough to move forward. So, anyway, life, business, leadership, lots of parallels. So, let's get into the law of magnetism. I highlighted this, and I think we just answered it. Where do they match up? Right? So the book says, maybe you've started thinking about the people you have attracted in your organization. You might say to yourself, wait a minute, I can name 20 things that make my people different from me. And my response would be, of course you can, but the people who are drawn to you probably have more similarities than differences, especially in a few key areas. Take a look at the following characteristics. You will probably find that you and the people who follow you share common ground in several of these key areas. Attitude. Rarely have I seen a positive and negative people attracted to one another. People who view life as a series of opportunities and exciting challenges don't want to hear others talk about how bad things are all the time. I know that's true for me. I can't think of a single negative person in my organizations. And if you were to talk to my 4 company presidents and all my top managers, you'd find that every one of them is an especially positive person.
Yeah.
It's a fair statement.
Yeah.
I mean, are there going to be times where that's not the case? Sure.
Yeah, but that's more like
But-
for an overall.
Yeah, but 95%.
Yeah, everybody has a bad day though.
Yeah, you know, and I think
On Mondays I curse your name. So bad. One of your managers is calling me right now. But he's very positive.
Very positive.
Love him.
Very positive. See, you threw me off. Threw me off there. Curveball. Total curveball.
Total curve.
No, but it's true though. You know what I mean? I know myself. I'm a very positive person. I'm an opportunist. So you know, when someone's like, oh well, I can't do this because this, or I can't. Oh, woe is me, or my, you know, the universe, my life, this, my this, that, the other. Mm-hmm. Like, listen, we all have circumstances that are hard. Mm-hmm. But at some point, but that's where the ownership comes in and taking steps to change those things. But it all starts with your attitude. It all starts with your mindset,
Absolutely.
which is your responsibility, your mindset, your attitude, leading yourself, et cetera, et cetera.
Perfect example. We had a pretty major life event happen today to the 2 of us, and you have to dial that back and recognize that other people do rely on you as a leader.
Yep.
And you can't say, well, you know what, you guys do it, I'm having a shitty day. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah, and you can't wallow in self-pity.
Right.
You know, I mean, hey, if stuff happens, you got to take a moment and say, hey, I need a break, I need a day, need a week, no problem. You know, I'll be honest, man. You know, when I this attitude concept is a great point. When I was going through my divorce, right, it was frustrating. Obviously I didn't want it to happen, but let's just say things weren't going well, and you know, found out some rather troubling things, some surprises, and you know what? I felt myself at work taking it out on my team and my guests for about a day or two, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm not being the leader I need to be for my team, and I'm not being the leader that they deserve. So I gathered my executive chef, I gathered my GM at the time, and I said, listen, I need to take some time. Could be 2 days, could be a week. I'm like, I just need to take some time. I recognize I'm not being who I need to be. I need to go chill, deal with my personal shit, and get back to work. And they're like, no problem, we got you. And I went, got my life sorted out, came back in about 7-8 days, and hit the ground hard. But I took the time I needed to lead myself to get whatever I needed to get put to bed. And it's not like I went back home and battled it out. Like I went, I moved, I did what I needed to do, and got it done.
Put your ducks in a row. Get it done.
So that way, at least I knew what direction I was going in, so that I could lead myself and then get back to leading my team. So, I could have sat there and pouted and cried and been miserable.
Yeah, been an ass to everybody.
Yeah,
that would have been conducive to a great work environment.
Right. When I'm leading 130 people in a building, I can't do that. Have to be decisive. So, for sure. But again, but that's the attitude of, hey, let's be positive and let's get through it. Bad things happen. It's life. We've got to move forward. Leaders, if you attract people like that, when those bad things do happen, because they're going to happen in the organization. Listen, I was making the sales projections for the next couple weeks, and I'm going through, and I get to like the week of March 18th through the 25th today. I'm like, why was it so slow that week? And then I start seeing zeros, and I'm like, oh, the computer didn't sync with the system we use. And I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
That was the shutdowns. Yeah. That was the COVID lockdowns. And, talk about having a challenge.
Yeah.
Hey, the restaurant industry is extinct as we know it until further notice. It's like, excuse me?
Yeah.
What?
I'm sorry, what?
But we still made a positive situation out of that, and we were able to help the community. But again, it was like, that was tough. Yep. You talk about tough, like that was hard. Speaking of, side note, title for the book.
For yours?
Yeah, I came up with it. I texted Lindsay.
Write this down.
No, you don't need to write it down. Okay. It's easy to remember. It's gonna be called. So we're gonna use my tagline, which is also a mission statement: serving smiles one plate at a time. Mm-hmm. And then the subtitle is going to be using leadership to get through a pandemic. Boom.
I hope you patented that already.
Andres, can you edit that out? No, just kidding. Just kidding. So we're working on that.
Excellent.
And we're going to kind of tell the story of how we led through the pandemic to not only save but build our business, right. Not only save jobs but add jobs, contribute back to the community, and we're going to take it all the way back to
and help save other people's jobs too, not even your own establishments, or not.
Absolutely. I mean, we really did it.
Facebook pages and make sure people know what's open, who can get what, where, and really help out the entire restaurant community. I will give you your kudos for being completely selfless on that. That was amazing.
I appreciate that.
I wasn't part of the team by then, but I was sitting in my garage going, DJing's never going to happen again.
And here you are, chief of staff.
Yep, look at that. Rose through the ranks.
Excellent. But yeah, it was attitude. And you know what? The people that had the attitude, the problem-solving attitude, that, hey, we're going to figure it out with you, Kyle, they were right there with me. I couldn't have done it without them. They're like, all right, let's go. Like this is the situation. We're working and delivering food to the fairgrounds and working out of 5 refrigerated CBI trucks. I just bought the van. We're shuttling the van back and forth, dude. It was great.
Poor van.
Oh, man. And we're just loading it up with lasagnas and tiramisu and, bottled water and toilet paper with all kinds of stuff out of it. They're like, cool, got it. Let's do it. Here we are.
Excellent.
These are the playing field. So, but we made it happen. It was great. And the best thing I say is, during that time we were able to. There's 2 things that were great that came out of that. Number 1 was we were able to feed, through the help of Stephen Layton, 25 United, his nonprofit. We were able to feed roughly 15,000 meals for free in a 2-week time period. Wow. Number 1. And then number 2, during those 2 weeks that we were doing that, that's about how long it took.
Doing math while you say this.
Yeah, knock yourself out. That's about how long it took the government to figure out the unemployment stuff, so that at least my team could at least make a few $100 a week of cash to at least just pay for groceries and, you know, household things before the unemployment kicked in. So it was, that was cool. Like, those are the two most things that I was like, all right, awesome. Like that was worth it.
That's crazy.
What'd you figure out? What kind of math you figure out? You can keep that one too, by the way. Got another one.
I just ordered a bunch more of these.
I don't doubt it.
So 15,000 in 2 weeks is 7,500 a week. That's 1,071 a day. That's 44.6 meals an hour that you guys put out on a 24-hour period.
Boom.
Boom, indeed.
Highly effective team.
Yeah.
No, the team did it, man. I was
great.
Coordinating it and trying to keep everyone's spirits up. The team wasn't that kitchen. You saw the videos. We had piles of pasta, and we still have aluminum containers.
Yeah.
It was wild. Talk about character building.
Yeah, it's great for your character.
All right, back to the book. What else do leaders attract? Generation. People tend to attract others of roughly the same age. My top leaders are a good example. 3 of my 4 company presidents are only 1 or 2 years different in age from me. The 4th is fewer than 10 years younger, and that same pattern can be seen in other areas of my company, such as among some managers at Enjoy. For instance, Kevin Small, who heads the seminar marketing area, is a sharp, aggressive young man in his 20s. Can you guess what kind of people are attracted to him? Most of them are sharp and aggressive and are aggressive and in their 20s. Who you are is who you attract. All right. The next section is background. In the chapter on the law of process, I wrote about Theodore Roosevelt. One of his memorable accomplishments is his daring charge up San Juan Hill with the Rough Riders during the Spanish-American War. This part's actually pretty cool. Roosevelt personally recruited that all-volunteer cavalry company, and it is said to be a remarkably peculiar group of people. It was comprised primarily of 2 types of men, wealthy aristocrats from the Northeast and cowboys from the Wild West. Why? Because Teddy Roosevelt was an aristocrat-born, Harvard-educated New Yorker who turned himself into a real-life cowboy and big game hunter in the Dakotas of the West. He was a strong and genuine leader in both worlds, and as a result, he attracted both kinds of people. I thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
You know, because he's kind of like a chameleon. He can survive in this area, he can survive in that area. You know, and that's good leadership, right? Values. People are attracted to leaders whose values are similar to their own. They think about the people who flocked to President John F. Kennedy after he was elected in 1960. He was a young idealist who wanted to change the world, and he attracted people with a similar profile. When he formed the Peace Corps and called people to service, saying, ask not what you can do for your country, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country, thousands of young idealistic people stepped forward to answer the challenge.
I still remember that. I still see clips of that.
That's wild, right?
People sample that. It's so crazy.
I can only imagine.
That's wild.
Life experience. Life experience is another area of attraction for people. For example, anytime I speak to a new audience, I can tell within 30 seconds what kind of speaker they are used to hearing. If they regularly listen to gifted and energetic communicators, they are a sharp and responsive audience. You can see it in their faces. Their sense of expectations is high, their body language is positive, and when you get ready to speak, they have paper and pencil ready to take notes. But if people are used to a poor communicator, I find they just check out mentally. I've seen that.
Yeah. Too many times to count. That'll be a whole 2-hour episode.
Leadership ability. This is the last section he has here. Finally, the people you attract will have leadership abilities similar to your own. As I said in discussing the law of respect, people naturally follow leaders stronger than themselves, but you also have to factor in the law of magnetism, which states that who you are is who you attract. And what that means is that if you are a 7 when it comes to leadership, you are more likely to draw 5s and 6s to you than 2s and 3s. The leaders you attract will be similar in style and ability to you. We got through a chapter. That was it.
Hey.
That was it. It's a short chapter. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
We can dig into it and go on a lot of tangents. Again, I paraphrased some things. I didn't cover the whole thing. You want to read the whole chapter, you got to buy the book.
Yeah.
Take care of Mr. Maxwell. But you know, it's incredibly true. the law of magnetism, and it's powerful, But here's the question that some people ask, and then we'll move on. They say, well, if I'm going to hire people similar or attract people similar to me, then how do I diversify? Because if I'm a numbers guy and I attract only numbers people, how do I diversify to the more practical side of it? And that's the trick. So you all shoot. I want to hear yours.
My answer would be that you attract people of your same character. Their job duties and what they're good at,
skill set,
is exponentially different than yours, which also would keep the law of attraction, would keep you attracted to what they're doing and vice versa.
Agreed.
You know how to open restaurants during pandemics. Dave Lovett knows how to make a drink that will make me forget I have kneecaps.
It'll probably cure the pandemic too.
Yeah,
they're pretty delicious. They're pretty good.
Yeah, they're excellent. Although, don't ever drink his coffee. Long story. I almost died. I haven't had a voice since.
What else is new?
He gave me coffee.
Was it like
coffee's going to take me out.
Supercharged?
37. I'm going to take it out by caffeinated bean water. Great.
Was it like supercharged, like
it was
highly caffeinated?
Yeah, it was something. It was some type of beans from somewhere. I think Jack and the Beanstalk. I don't know. Maybe whatever.
Like My Cousin Vinny.
I love that movie.
Great movie.
Two Utes. But yes, that
Dave
was my
Levitt's
answer.
coffee.
Was I right?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was your question?
No, your question.
My question? You got me distracted by the coffee. Yes, you were right.
Boom.
Absolutely. Because that makes sense. It's not necessarily you're attracting skill set, you're attracting your character and your values. And, going back to the values, when we go through our core values, we call our principles and promises with people like in orientations, I know immediately. I can see it on their face when we go through them in orientation, and the people that have those same values and that same character, it's like a big wave of like relief just came over them, because you go and you work in a new restaurant, it's big, it's busy, now there's multiple restaurants, it's kind of daunting, and when the first thing we talk about is treating people with dignity, honesty, respect, integrity. We talk about doing it right the first time. We talk about functioning as a team. We talk about all these things, being of service, taking care of each other, all these things that we talk about, and they're like, I'm home.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm home, like this feels good, this, that, the other. I know right then and there, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a person who I'm willing to invest my time, my team's time, our resources into making them just an A1 team player. The opposite is true. I can also tell when we go through it and someone's like, oh, this garbage again, or whatever. I know immediately that person they're probably capable, maybe when they get in and they see it, and maybe they're willing to kind of say, all right, you know what, I will let my guard down a little bit, or subdue my ego and listen to what they have to say. There's still a chance, but it's a 50-50, because usually the people like that, they're coming in and they're like, I just want to come in. I don't really care about the guests, don't care about the restaurant, don't care about the team. I want to come in, make my $300-400 a night, and go on my merry way. And they last 90 days or less.
Yep.
And it's the same thing in the front of the house, the back of the house, whatever it is. Like, you can just tell now at this point when those values resonate with others. And the ones that do say, oh man, I'm home, this is great, they take it, they rally it. And because the thing is it's not even that they're, people say, oh, you're drinking the Kool-Aid. It's not even that. You know what it is it's just our principles and promises are our core values, and we put them into a specific combination of words that make up sentences that you can say them 100 different ways, but they mean the same thing. So although someone else might say it differently, the end result is the same, and that's okay, because we wanted to codify it. But someone that doesn't have the good values or morals or their own self-respect or dignity for their own selves, it's going to just sound like white noise to them, and they're going to go do whatever it is they want to do.
Yeah.
And then their actions speak louder than words, right?
Yep.
Because they can't lead oneself.
Right. Hardest person to lead.
Hardest person to lead. I don't know if we covered it in episode 2, but there was a leadership seminar I took years ago, probably like 7 years ago, and talking about leading oneself. It wasn't that book, but it was grounded in that. And it said, new leaders, and when I mean new leaders, I mean leaders like 10 years of leadership experience or less, should spend 50% of their time leading themselves. And then after 10 years, it was like 40%. So you're still spending more time leading yourself and holding yourself to a high discipline level, so that you can get done what you need to get done as the leader,
Yeah, for sure.
That makes sense.
We actually talked about that on a podcast that hasn't been aired yet, because I didn't have a voice that day. And we talked about the
secret files.
Secret files, yeah. We talked about the Navy SEAL method, about, again, leading yourself. And I forget who it is. I'm not even going to try and butcher it. Some very high up with the Navy was talking about, he did a comparison about making your bed. Make your bed every day.
Oh, Admiral. I have his book.
Yeah.
I read his book. The book is called Make Your Bed. Great book.
No way. Awesome. Yeah. I saw
great book.
I watched the video and watched all that.
I actually left it on my dresser for like 3 months to remind me to make my bed.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a great book.
I had to have a conversation with a young producer who happened to be signed to the same label as me. And excellent. The kid was amazing. But he was like 19 years old. His mom had a ton of money. And all he wanted to do was live the rock star life. I didn't realize that in order to do that, you got to get up. You got to get out of your bed and go make music. That's what you want to do. You want to be a music producer. Well, you got to do it.
Got to
get to work. It's not going to come to you. So
got to
I had
get
to
to work.
sit down with him and told him, I made him watch the video. I was like, no, every day I want you to text me a picture of your bed made every morning. If you don't do it, I'm not coming back up here for these studio sessions.
How do you know he didn't just send you the same picture?
That's a good question. Mostly because there's a different woman in his bed every. No, I'm just kidding. Well, no.
I mean, that's a good way. It's a good way to show it's a different day.
I trusted his character.
Ah,
I felt
boom.
like I got through to him.
Boom.
And kid's doing great.
Great. Got to trust your team.
Yeah.
Got to put it on him.
Years ago. I mean, now he's 22. I don't think he drinks anymore. He kind of gave up the whole rock star lifestyle. I'll just suffice me saying that. And
most people do, even the rock stars.
Yeah. You have no idea how many celebrity rock stars I've met that are like, yeah, man, I don't drink. I'm actually vegan too. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I did CrossFit this morning. I'm like, what are you doing with eye makeup on? What the hell's going on here? Who are you? That's
hilarious. Chapter 10, we're going to get another chapter under the belt today.
Let's do it.
It's called The Law of Connection. It says, leaders touch a heart before they ask for a hand. And, so real quick story about this. When I read this chapter, it reminded me of good old Randy Cook, who served me my first slice of humble pie, explained to me what humble pie was. It's him I have to attribute the humble pie to. And he broke it down for me like this, and I still tell my team this day. And it's funny because when you read other leadership material or you listen to other videos from other authors and producers and stuff like that, they all use the same term. And I'll get to the term in a second. But he told me like this. He's like, leadership is a daily, which law process, he's like, it's daily. And every day, you've got to put a deposit into your team member's bank. Each individual team member, you've got to put a deposit into their bank so that when you need to make a withdrawal, there's capital there to withdraw, which is leadership capital, right? Just like financial capital, resource capital, leadership capital. And so when he told it to me like that, I'm like, oh, I get that, because you can't overdraft an account. Well, you can't overdraft an account, and they're going to charge you with fees and penalties and close your account, and then you're done. I went through that. I went through that a long time ago. Chase wouldn't even give me a bank account. If I got below $50, they were like, you need to deposit money right now or we're closing your shit. And I was like, oh, that's bad, right? Remember? You knew me then.
Yes.
You knew me then. I was like, hey, Doug,
that.
Let me get $10 so my bank account doesn't 86 me, right? And then I give you your $10 back, so your bank account didn't 86 you after I got through my statement period. I mean,
Success is built.
Yeah, listen.
$10 at a time. Holy shit.
But those are character building lessons. So I understood that concept very, very well because I had actually lived that in the bank world. So yeah, I guess, so when I read this, when it talks about touching someone's heart, right? Mm-hmm. The way I look at it is that's your leadership capital. And when you think about, if you, like we talk about all the time, the way I look at leadership, which I adapted from Dr. Jimmy Nott, is leadership's three things: character, competency, and connection. So here is the law of connection, mm-hmm. right? Which again can be broken down into, connection could be like the law of magnetism if you wanted to do it, could be a subcategory of connection, and you can kind of keep dialing that in and put it into the framework Jimmy Nott does. But here's the law of connection, and that's really part of the leadership capital, if you will, right? That's like your direct deposit, as long as you're making those deposits. Right. So I thought that was highly valuable. Mm-hmm. I thought that it was great to, having read this a few years after learning from Randy, I was like, oh, this makes sense. Right. So with that, I'm going to get into the law of connection. Public and private connection. Connecting with people isn't something that needs to happen only when a leader is communicating to groups of people. It needs to happen with individuals. The stronger the relationship and the connection between individuals, the more likely the follower will want to help the leader. That is one of the most important principles I've taught my staff over the years. My staff at Skyline used to groan every time I would say, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. But they also knew that it was true. You develop credibility with people when you connect with them and show that you genuinely want to help them. So that's that leadership capital. And also at the same time too, it takes a little bit of humility to sometimes make those connections. I'm gonna give you a good example. We were at, I was focusing a lot on Hutch's Kitchen last week, mm-hmm. right? And we were working on some things with our team, and I know my team there is working really hard, and they're people of great character, and I failed to give them some specific direction, some specific tools, some specific guidance and leadership. So, the first couple of days I was there, I was just kind of in the front lines and observing kind of where some of our opportunities were. Also, keep in mind too, this is our first season. Sales are up 45, 50% from what we were trending. People are getting their vaccinations. They're feeling better going out. Our marketing has been working. Our to-go orders are up. Like, a lot of great things are happening there. Mm-hmm. Adjusting to that volume when it's been kind of slow and we've kind of been in an area where we're like, hey, let's save labor and let's not overstaff, which worked. But we're even seeing the same thing, at the ocean, and what I'm seeing is, and I was just talking to Matt about this. Go back in a little mental time capsule. Go back to the week before Thanksgiving, right? The world was ending. No one could go see their family. You were gonna die by the time you finished pumpkin pie at Thanksgiving by coronavirus, mm-hmm. right? Like, all this, like, Christmas was canceled, New Year's, whatever, like, everything was like on halt. Yeah. And after the inauguration, all of a sudden the vaccines are free flowing, and now everyone's getting their first and second dose of vaccines. So now people are feeling more comfortable coming out, which is great because the business is coming back. Our season down here in South Florida is starting to kick up. It was about a month late. So all of a sudden, your business trends go, steady, and then boom, they shoot up. So you need more staff, right? Well, that happened to us, and it caught us a little bit in both restaurants. So I was on the front lines and kind of looking at it, and I was realizing that, we were missing some of our process and procedure. And so we were going over it. Now, there's some things we have gone over, but there's some things that I needed to address again or reinstill or whatever it was. And, we had a service one night where it was okay. It wasn't great. It was a little rocky because there was a little confusion, and there were like really silly things going on technique wise, not anything bad. Just, I was like, why are we doing these things? You're making 5 extra steps on this one dish. And when you multiply that by 10 items on the board, you're doing 50 extra steps that you don't even need to do. Just, let's just streamline it. So I'll be honest, I was a little frustrated, and I asked some rather blunt questions, and I realized, that can be a little scary. Oh, here's the big boss coming in, and So I wanted to touch some hearts, right? And I've got some people in there. I know that they're comic book fans. I'm a superhero fan myself. So the next day we were on the line going over some things, working, and it was I wanted to make it light and airy because I genuinely want to help, and I want to help them not only build and grow on their skill set, but I also want to help them have smooth shifts. I don't want them to be working really hard and trying really hard and having troublesome shifts. So I told them about this funny time where when I was younger, in my backyard we had a grapefruit tree, like this big grapefruit tree, and every year my dad would send me in the tree, and I'd go pick the grapefruits, throw them down to him, because I love to climb trees like a little spider monkey, and I'd pick grapefruits and I'd throw them down to him. He'd catch them in the garbage bag, and it was cool. And then I guess now in hindsight as an adult, my parents got the better end of the deal here, because they'd have like garbage cans full of grapefruits, and they'd invite all the neighbors over, and they would just have a grapefruit crushing and like vodka party.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Boom. Way to go, Alan.
Yeah. Good job, Mom. If you're watching and listening, shout out to that. I'd be like in my room playing Super Nintendo. Anyway, so I had a little humility, and I told him about this time when I was like 6, and I dressed up in my Batman pajamas, and I was climbing my tree thinking I was, saving Gotham City in a grapefruit tree. And I was like, cool, I'm gonna make my cape float or whatever, flap in the wind when I jump out of the tree. So I went and jumped out of the tree, and my belt loop got stuck on a branch, and I was hanging there, and I was like, oh shit, what do I do? And so I'm telling him this, but I'm making him laugh, and I'm showing humility, because here I am, the big scary boss that, whatever, because that's not me, that's not me. But that's how everyone's taught to think, but that's not me. So I'm like, how can I make myself approachable and human? And I'm like, well, let me tell him about this time, because this cook over here is telling me he's got like 7,000 pounds of grapefruits they just harvested at his other job. This guy, we kind of grew up together, and I know, we like, comic books and superheroes and stuff. So I was like, all right, I just happen to have a story that brings these two together, and it was cool. And so bringing these smiles, and subordinating my ego, and having a little humility, and telling them a rather embarrassing story that I'm now sharing with the world. Yeah. I know it was embarrassing. It was cool. My pants ripped. I fell down on the ground, and whatever. I went and got new pants. I don't know. Point is, I kind of broke the ice a little bit that day with them. And then we just started talking about process, procedure, technique, all these things. And it worked. I mean, they've been having amazing shifts. They've been dialing in. They've been learning. They've been engaged. And that's the thing. They were working hard. So they just need a little more clear direction on my point, or on my part. But I had to make these deposits. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it was cool. Which brings me into the next part of connect with people one at a time. And that's, granted I did it with 2 individuals.
Yeah.
But
I'd also like to point out that you did not learn your lesson.
Why? What do you mean?
Well, on Halloween, I got to DJ at Hutchinson American Kitchen, where you dressed up as Batman.
That was a good Batman.
Ran back and forth across A1A.
With the cape up?
Yeah.
Well, at least I wasn't airborne.
Yeah. No, we still cannot do a grapple hook from the roof to roof.
Yet.
No, we'll work on it.
We'll get there.
Dylan. More keys.
Oh, Dylan's coming. Dylan's coming on the podcast.
He is.
Yeah. Next episode, right?
Yes, he will be here.
You got to let him know that it's going to be here.
Oh, it's already.
Okay.
I got it.
All right, good.
I'm excellent chiefing.
I don't doubt it.
Yes.
So connecting with people one at a time. Before I read this brief little section, it's key to be able to make your deposits with one person at a time. And that can be just as simple as walking by somebody and saying, hey, how are you today? How's the wife and kids? How's your mom doing? Whatever it is, make a joke. If you know somebody, like whenever I hear somebody likes The Office, I'm throwing office jokes at them whenever I get a chance, because I'm an Office fan. You know what I mean? And finding those things that you can relate, but you can't do that until you make your relational connection with people, which obviously this is the law of connection. The strategy I like to use is I like to ask them, how their family is, how their day's going, if they're new, how are you settling in? Is there anything I can do for you? What have you gotten out of training? Do you like it? Plus, it also helps me build a better training program. But all these things, when you genuinely ask them questions about themselves, their lives, their families, when you come up to them and you say, hey, how's your daughter Susie doing? I saw she just had a birthday, whatever. You posted a picture on Facebook last week. I hope you guys had a good time. Things like that genuinely let them know that you care about them more than just, someone
just a
clocking
number.
in and clocking out and just a number.
You're a part of a team. That's part of a family.
Exactly, because you have to be approachable, but you can't be too approachable where you're buddy, and now you start talking about, overly inappropriate things at work. You know what I mean? There's a line there that is hard to cross, because you want to be friendly with people, you want to joke around, you want to have good times, but there's a balance, like with anything. So, but connecting with people one-on-one, and sometimes connecting with them one-on-one is pulling them aside and having little mini one-on-ones. I encourage that with my leaders all the time. I say, hey, you know what? Grab that person and say, hey, you know what? You got a really great review. I notice you've been hustling. I just want you to know we see it. The management team sees it. Keep up the great work. We appreciate you, right? Just a little 10-second conversation like that goes a long way. The opposite is true. Hey, listen, I notice you're not entirely yourself. You feeling okay? Everything all right outside of work? Even if it's not, or maybe it is, maybe that opens it up to, hey, yeah, do you have 20 minutes? I need to talk to you about something. Cool, great, no problem. Perhaps there is something that's bothering them, but they're like, yeah, you know what? I'm okay. Maybe it's something they can deal with. But the fact that you notice they're not themselves says, oh, wow, they care about me. And that's key. Does that make sense? And you can only do that one-on-one. I can't do that in pre-shift. I can't do that, in the middle of service.
So-and-so's coming in. Joe, why do you look like your cat died?
Yeah, right, exactly. I mean, you can do that. It's going to be weird, but, it's not going to be effective. Yeah. But or same thing, like, if you're busy on the line, and it's 6:30, 7:30, and you're in your push, you can't, that is the wrong time to make connections with people. That's usually when you're giving direction and we're making calls and we're making plays and we're doing the work. We're lifting the heavy shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, that's what's happening.
We're in there.
Yeah. So the time to make those relational connections is when you have time to make the relational connections. It's not during the shift. So, when leaders say, oh, well, I told them to do this and they didn't do it and I don't understand. I'm like, cool, great. What'd you do during the downtime today? What'd you do 6 hours ago? Yeah. Did you talk to anybody? Did you engage them? Did you talk to them about what to do when this, that, the other happens? Did you talk to them about, hey, we've got 500 reservations on the books tonight. It's going to be busy. We're down 2 essays. I'm telling you now, I need help flipping tables so I can get you guys reseated quickly so you can get your table turns, right? And before that, were you saying, hey, thanks for coming in tonight. It's great to see you. We're going to be busy. You kicked ass last night, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. Or hey, you know what? You were off last night. The team did great. So happy to have you because we're going to do a good job tonight too. Did you do that? Or did you sit up in the office, eat your lunch, playing
solitaire on your phone, or watching TikTok videos?
Spend 7 hours making floor plans. You had to count the safe. And then, you know what I mean? Unless, we don't have team members, or we don't have leadership that does that. Well, not anymore anyway. We did about 2.5 years ago, but not so much now.
86.
But my point is like, what'd you do? Did you go around making little deposits? Hey, good job. Hey, great to see you. Oh, you're on day 5 of training? What can I do for you? Anything like that. Usually the answer is, like, well, I guess you should build your relational connection with your team not when you have time, make time when they have time. Do it during the downtime, not the busy time.
Right.
So again, I'm going to say it. If you're in the office listening to this podcast and your service is going on, it's time to get out on the floor.
Pause. Come listen to us later.
Yeah.
On your way home.
Yeah, because there is no finish line. Never stops. Never stops. Next section. Love this section. Great section. It's the best section.
The best. I know all the sections. It's a wonderful section.
It's the leader's job. Excuse me.
It's contagious.
It's contagious. That's not the section. The section is called It's the Leader's Job. Although leadership is contagious.
It is.
Good leadership and bad leadership. That's a whole nother subject. Let's talk about that for a second.
Okay.
Bad leadership. What does that look like in an organization? And it doesn't necessarily have to be from the number one leader, because a leader could be anybody. You don't need a title to be a leader, right?
I mean, there's plenty of fast food chains that are still run by a very successful group of leaders that have no idea what the hell's going on in their stores. So that could be an example of what you just said. But what's an example of a bad leader? You want me to give you their names?
No.
Can I link their Instagrams? I'm just kidding.
No. All right. So let me give you an example, right? On a shift, right? Whether you're front of house, back of house, whatever. There always seems to be those one or two people, and this is just restaurant industry in general, right? Mm-hmm. There always seems to be those one or two individuals. Watch Waiting, right? What's the crazy lady that comes in? She's on 9 energy drinks. She's smoking cigarettes. She's short and skinny and just loses her shit on everybody.
I quote it so bad, but I won't.
Earmuffs, kids. No, but yeah. So there's.
She walks around the corner. Hi, folks. How are you today?
Yeah.
Oh, God,
so there's and what makes that part so funny is it's a little exaggerated. Well, maybe not so much.
Not.
It's probably under relish, but
Ruby Tuesdays in St. Lucie West.
Yeah, I was 17 when I worked there.
Dude, there was a lady that worked there that was exactly how she was.
That was, because that's what I thought about, because I had just watched.
And that's why it was so
that
happened. I was that's her.
You're 100% right. I don't remember her name, but yeah, no. But what I'm saying is there's always that one person who's just negative Nancy all night long, mm-hmm. and then all of a sudden, what happens is the next person she encounters now picks up a little bit, and that one, and it's like cancer for the night, and it's horrible. And I tell my team all the time, run short before you run toxic, for a shift. And maybe someone's having a bad day. Hey, do you need to go home? Do you need to go get some stuff sorted out? Because you can go. Oh, you don't want to take this table? I'm sorry. Last I checked, that's what the job entailed, and that's what we're here to do. So if you don't want to take the guests, that's okay. You can go home, and don't come back. Because I'd rather you not go take my competitors' guests than not take my guests. Go piss them off outside of my building so they come to me. Mm-hmm. That's how I look at it. Yep. They come and take care of our team. So it's important that, again, how do you lose good team members? Tolerate bad ones. So it's important that the bad leadership that is contagious at all levels is aggressively eradicated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And if the leaders can't do that, then where are their values?
Right.
I would ask that question: is where are your values? What do you look for? What will you tolerate as a leader? And people ask me, "Oh, how do you get all these great people?" Da, 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 da. Well, we teach them, we coach them, we care about them, we guide them, we set standards and expectations for them. And when they don't meet that, we'll coach them, and we'll coach them. And finally, when we get to the point to where we realize they're just choosing not to because of whatever, then that's when I'm like, you know what? It's time to go. It's time for us to part ways. Best of luck. Yep. Not mad, not upset, not frustrated, whatever. We actually had to do that with a server a few months ago. And it was the most remarkable thing. We were able to catch her at the door. We said our piece. She left quietly. It was fine. Still like her, still respect her. But that night was one of the best shifts in a while. And you know what happened? It was so funny, and this is how powerful it is. It was so funny because the team didn't even realize she wasn't there. Mm-hmm. And the shift ran well. We were short, but the shift ran so well because that negative energy wasn't there. So it was just the lack of negative energy just brought the whole team up, right? So if they were functioning at a 7 and the -4 would have made it a 3, right, for example, without having that -4, that 7 just stayed a 7 and probably became an 8 because they got busy, And it was funny. I went around that day. I remember this. I went around that day in the dining room, and I think I gave everyone like 20 or like $50 bonus cards for our restaurants. And it was in the middle of shift. And and I know I said, don't build deposits in the middle of shift. Well, I broke my rule. I did in the middle of shift. Because I have good...
It's your second deposit.
Yeah, but I already have good relationships with a lot of my team members.
You could really dive into it, and you were in the...
I wasn't repairing relationships.
Right,
you know what I did? I was like...
already in their way of where they were going. You weren't taking them away from their steps.
And here's what I did. I went up to him and I said, hey, like if you were a server there, I went up to everyone in the front of the house.
I was standing next to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but the people listening were.
Yeah, true.
So imagine this. I was like, hey Doug, I said, tonight's going really well tonight. I appreciate it. I know we're busy. We're a little short-staffed. You guys are doing great. And I believe that the night's going well because of your contribution. I was like, here's a $50 bonus card you can use in any restaurants. Come have dinner, lunch, whatever. Bar tab. Come on and have it on us. Greatly appreciate it. They were like, oh man, thanks. They're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, we're busy. Get back to work. But it was like, gotta go. Yeah, gotta go. But I went to all of our team members and I was like, hey, boom, here you go. And because the front of the house was really stepping up, I went to it with them, and I said, really, guys, a phenomenal job, and they pulled through. And I didn't say, hey, it's because we just let so and so go. I didn't say anything like that. But that's what happened, and it was really cool to see the team rally, because the best part was they didn't even, they were doing it organically, and they didn't even realize that they were being weighted down by that other negativity prior, and had that other individual been there, we would have had a great shift. Our guests would have been happy, but it just would have been like,
right.
It just wouldn't have felt as good as it did. And I was like, and you just kind of stop and you look around and people are buzzing all around you like, this is cool. Like, this is a professional team executing at a high level. So getting into this, it's the leader's job. Some leaders have problems with the law of connection. I'm going to say that over again. Some leaders have problems with the law of connection is because they believe that connecting is the responsibility of the followers. That is especially true of positional leaders. They often think, I'm the boss, I have the position, these are my employees, let them come to me. And I highlighted this section that sentence because that sentence I've seen time and time again. And that right there is their own ego. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's them saying, I'm the guy, I'm the girl, whatever it is. These are my people. No, this is your team, but these aren't your what's the term they used in like England back in the day?
Servants.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, these aren't your servants. This is your team. And without your team, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Yeah. And so...
Good luck going out there taking orders, cooking orders, cleaning dishes.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to get to that. But my point is that's a very powerful sentence. And I see it time and time again. And to be honest, my first leadership position at 19, I thought that way. So that's why I related to that. I quickly learned that's not the way, but I thought like that. And it just goes to show like the evolution of leadership and how much you actually can learn. Like, it's not like someone wakes up and like, oh, boom, I know all this stuff about leadership. No, like, you got to learn. You got to make mistakes. So I've made that mistake. How old am I? I made that mistake 19 years ago. 16 years ago, whatever.
I was going to say, how the hell did you get older?
Whatever. Some time of 15 years ago. I'm good at math, but not right now. I was, 1935, so 16 years ago, I made that mistake. And once I made it, I was like, ooh, that doesn't feel good, Successful leaders who obey the law of connection are always initiators. They take the first step with others and then make the effort to contribute to building relationships. That's not always easy, but if it's important to the success of the organization, a leader has to do it anyway, no matter how many obstacles there might be. So no matter what, you got to get that done. It is your job to initiate building those relationships. And the best way to initiate building those relationships is make your one-on-one deposits with your team members on a daily basis. Let them know, yes, you're the boss and you can give direction, but you're not this big, scary monster. You're not this individual that just, you've got to be a human being.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And you can't be overly pretentious. You've got to be able to relate to your team, and they need to be able to relate to you.
Right.
Best way to do that, get in on the front lines with them. Get in, dial in, have some fun with them, and don't go in looking for things that's wrong. Go in looking for things that's right that you can compliment them on.
Right.
You know, if you're one of my chefs or you're one of my bar managers, right, and I'm coming in and ordering food, ordering drinks, whatever. I'm walking through the bar or the kitchen. I'm looking for things to say, hey, you and your team are doing a great job at X, Y, and Z. I'm not coming in to look at things that are, dirty or not quite right or whatever it is. I'm gonna be like, hey, you know what? This is what's going really well. And hey, I saw a couple of things, X, Y, Z. Just kind of take a look at that and pay a little more attention to that. I know we get used to seeing all these same things and we're busy, but just remember those things are important too. Okay, cool, boss, got it. Yep, done. Consider it done. That's the way to get it done. And then now, as the leader, I can go do what I got to do, or go into the next department or the next restaurant that I need to go have discussions with, right? So I can't stress enough how much it's the leader's responsibility to do that. You said something a moment ago. You said something about when we were talking about, good luck doing it without your team, right? Because the relational connection. I've got a great story for this, a great example, which I think this would be an appropriate time to share. What do you think?
Excellent.
You didn't say absolutely. I was baiting you. All right,
Trying to work around that.
So this was definitely pre-COVID time, I believe. It could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. I believe it was pre-COVID. I'd have to ask Percy. He would know. Yep, it was pre-COVID. For sure it was. I remember now. All right, so it was pre-COVID. It was on the ocean. It was before the other restaurants had opened up. And we had a sous chef. And I had known this guy for a while. He's a good guy, a very talented cook. And I knew bringing him on that his challenge was going to be leadership. So we got him this book. I spent multiple sessions chatting with him, coaching with him, and he started to get it, But it was just such a foreign thing for him, and it was really hard for this individual to grasp it when it was busy, right? And he wasn't good at what we just talked about. I'm the boss, people should come to me, they should conform to me, not me conform to each individual, because as the leader, you almost have to do it. You've got to talk to each and every person a little bit differently based on your relationship with them. Not that you have to baby them or this, that, the other, but in order to maximize your effectiveness with them, you have to try to do your best to understand how they learn, who they are, where they're from, cultural backgrounds, educational backgrounds. Some people just have different backgrounds that you've got to communicate to them at a different frequency. That's not bad. That's okay. If you want to be effective, you could just say the same thing over and over and over again. I had one person in my past tell me, "Oh, well, I'm from New York. This is how we talk." And I said, "Okay, so you're only going to be effective with team members from New York?" I'm like, "You realize you're in South Florida, right? Maybe you should go back to New York." And he was like, "Oh." I said, "Yeah, man. What's the goal? Do you want to be effective, or do you want to just go around telling everyone you're from New York? Because that's what a lot of people from New York like to do, apparently. I'm from New York. Okay."
Oh, yeah? When's the last time you were there? Well, I moved down when I was 3. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I have a guest.
Tell me about the mean streets of Sesame.
Yeah. So my point is, I'm like, all right, well, you need to be effective here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point I was getting at. And so, this was a different person, but going back to the sous chef, for example, he had some struggles with some of our line cooks, just relating to them, right? And we were working with him, coaching him on it, whatever. Long story short, we got into a busy night, and I was on the floor. I came in to help expedite, and I went on the app window. And you've seen our kitchen, the app windows on the left side, and the entrees and sides are on the right. We've got all the structural poles we got to work around in the middle of the building. So I'm over there, and actually I came in, and he was on that side first, and the app station was struggling. They were getting hit hard. It was a beautiful day. Deck was busy. Sandwiches, flatbreads, happy hours going. Like, it was like calamaris. I've never seen so many calamaris in my life come out of there. It was busy, right? And I'm like, hey man, go back there and give him a hand. He's like, oh, because it was the two guys he did not like to work with. I'm like, you gotta go, leader. Now you gotta go. You can't just bark at him through the window. Go get in and give him a hand. I'll jump in here and get it done. And so I'm watching him, and he keeps saying things under his breath. He keeps talking shit to the line cook. And I'm watching, and I'm like, and I almost stopped him. I almost corrected him right then and there, but we had been having these discussions. They weren't going the right way. Let's just put it that way, over the last couple of weeks. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna see what happens. I'm gonna see which one of these guys breaks first, because it's gonna happen. And the tickets aren't going to stop. So I'm going to see which one of these guys breaks first. And finally the line cook just stops, puts his tongs and towel on the counter. And he wasn't, most people are thinking I'm going to say that there was this wild fight in the line. No, it wasn't a wild fight. And this is why I waited. The line cook's like, hey man, you know what? I just want you to talk to me and treat me like a person. And until you do that, you can do this by your damn self. And walked off the line. And he was pissed. Oh, he was mad. I mean, he was shaking. He was like, I'm going to quit, blah, blah, blah. And this is a great guy. He's still there to this day. And so the sous chef's now like, now what? Uh-oh. Right? And so now he's just, whatever, right? I'm just going to do it myself. Good. Great leadership. So now who's going to be the sous chef? Right?
Right. Yeah.
Because what if something else happens that the sous chef needs to go do, but he can't do it because he's the fry cook now, right?
So he didn't subordinate his ego.
Right, exactly, 100%. So I went around the back, and I found the line cook, and I said, hey man, I saw what's going on. I'm like, go take a breather. I'm like, you're good. I'm like, you didn't do anything wrong. You've been getting your ass kicked on the station all day. I'm like, go chill. Go grab a glass of water. Go outside, get a breather. Got it. Walk back around. This was the time I was the big scary boss. It was kind of fun. So I walk back around. The line is just crazy busy. There's tickets everywhere. There's people. There's food. And the entree side, they're cranking it out. And I just go up to the sous chef and I said, now what? And like, he's in the middle of just getting pounded. Yeah. And I'm like, now what? And he's like, what? And I said, look around. And he's like, no, I'm busy. And I'm like, yeah, stop. And he was like he was great. He was like trying to mess with his tickets. And I just hands this, like the third time I've ever had to do this. I just hand swipe all his tickets off the rail. And I was like, fuck your tickets. Excuse my language. I was like, fuck your tickets. Tickets don't matter. I was like, what are you gonna do with the tickets? I was like, you have no one to cook. I'm like, your team left you. I was like, are you gonna be my new fry cook?
Yeah.
And he's like, and I'm like, doesn't matter. I'm like, get off the line. He's like, I have to put it out. I said, I'm not asking you. Get off my line now. And he was like, all right. And then vanished. I never saw him again. Damn. And you know what? If he would have come back in like 10 minutes, be like, hey boss, my bad. Let me go make it up to the guy and let's get through it. I'd have been like, cool, great, no problem. Sounds good. Let's you guys shake, hug, kiss, make out, whatever you gotta do. Let's get back to work, and let's go accomplish what we're here to accomplish, right?
Yeah.
So then the question, how do we get out of it? Well, the executive chef has copies of the tickets, whites and yellows. So I looked at the other sous chef and I was like, hey dude, come on down here with me. Let's figure this out. So we made all the food without tickets. I'm like, hey, I asked Percy, I'm like, give me an all day on this station. Just tell me how much of everything we have to cook right now and we'll start we'll keep the rest of our tickets that come in. And we did. We got it through and done. Boom. It was fine. It was easy. Made
That's
some tacos.
awesome.
Made a boatload of crab cakes, calamaris, a couple burgers. It was fine. It was great. It's burgers and fries and crab cakes. Like, what are we doing? Why are we having these like arguments?
You're fun to work in a line with.
Oh man,
I got the.
so much fun.
Was it Friday? I got to hop on an expo for you. That was excellent.
We gotta do
People
more of
were
that.
very, very confused.
We gotta do more of
The
that.
manager was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Grab butter or get off my line.
Listen, gotta go. We gotta get it done,
go.
man. There's no excuses. All right, we've got 2 more pages, and then we're gonna finish up. And these are actually great pages.
Okay.
The tougher the challenge, the greater the connection. I've got something for this too, but we'll get to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Never underestimate the power of building relationships with people before asking them to follow you. Didn't I just say that? Did I just say, what'd you do before it got busy? Mm-hmm. What did you do? What'd you do yesterday? Right? Because leadership is a process. It's a daily process. It doesn't happen in a day.
Nope.
Right? So it's not about what the direction you're giving right here, right now. What'd you do today, 2 hours ago, yesterday, last week, last month? Are you showing your character? Are you showing your competency? Are you showing a relational connection? Right?
Yeah.
If not, well, no wonder why they're not following you when you just want them to. You have to live and breathe it. So never underestimate the power of building relationships with people before asking them to follow you, making your deposits, right? That's how I read it. If you've ever studied the lives of notable military commanders, you have probably noticed that the best ones practice the law of connection. I once read that during World War I in France, General Douglas MacArthur told a battalion commander before a daring charge, "Major, when the signal comes to go over the top, I want you to go first, before your men. If you do, they'll follow." Then MacArthur removed the Distinguished Service Cross from his uniform and pinned it to the major. He had, in effect, awarded him for his heroism before asking him to exhibit it. And of course, the major led his men. They followed him over the top, and they achieved their objective. Trench warfare was no fun in World War I.
I can imagine.
No fun. No fun. Not all military examples of the law of connection are quite so dramatic. For example, it's said that Napoleon made it a practice to know every one of his officers by name and to remember where they lived and which battles they had fought with him. Robert E. Lee was known to visit the men in their campsites the night before any major battle. Often he met the next day's challenges without having slept. More recently, I read about how Norman Schwarzkopf often found ways of connecting with his troops. On Christmas in 1990, during the Persian Gulf War, he spent the day among the men and women who were so far away from their families. That was the last of the sentence. In Christmas 1990, during the Persian Gulf War, he spent the day among the men and women who were so far away from their families. In his autobiography, he says, "I started at Lockheed Village. Some troops had already sat down to dinner, though it was only noon, because they were eating in shifts. I shook a lot of hands. Next, I went out to the Eskin village, where there were 3 huge mess halls and tents. At the first, a long line of troops stretched out the entryway. I shook hands with everyone in the line, went behind with serving counter to greet the cooks and helpers, and worked my way through the mess hall, hitting every table, wishing everyone Merry Christmas. Then I went into the second and third dining facilities and did the same thing. I came back to the first mess tent and repeated the exercise because by this time, there was an entirely new set of faces. Then I sat down with some of the troops and had my dinner. In the course of 4 hours, I must have shaken 4,000 hands." Schwarzkopf didn't have to do that, but he did. He used one of the most effective methods for connecting with others, something I call walking slowly through the crowd. It may sound corny, but it's really true. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And this last section is really, I found was very powerful. So the result of connection, right? So what connection, good connection looks like. Mm-hmm. When a leader has done the work to connect with his people, you can see it in the way the organization functions. Among employees, there are incredible loyalty and strong work ethic. The vision of the leader becomes the aspiration of the people. The impact is incredible. You can also see the results in other ways. Now keep in mind, I always like to throw this out there. This book was written in 1997, so going back then, this is still kind of relevant. We probably wouldn't we probably have to search. A little hard to find this today. On Boss's Day in 1994, a full-page ad appeared in USA Today. It was contracted and paid for by the employees of Southwest Airlines, and it was addressed to Herb Kelleher, the company's CEO. Thanks, Herb, for remembering every one of our names, for supporting the Ronald McDonald House, for helping load baggage on Thanksgiving, for giving everyone a kiss, and we mean everyone, for listening, for running the only profitable major airline, for singing at our holiday party, for singing only once a year, for letting us wear shorts and sneakers to work, for golfing at the Love Classic with only one club, for out-talking Sam Donaldson, for riding your Harley-Davidson into Southwest headquarters, for being a friend, not just the boss. Happy Boss's Day from each one of your 16,000 employees. That's pretty cool.
My least favorite airline. But yes, no, that is awesome.
Well, maybe you should work there. Then maybe you like it.
No.
A display of affection like that occurs only when a leader has worked hard to connect with his people. Don't ever underestimate the importance of building relational bridges between yourself and the people you lead. There's an old saying, to lead yourself, use your head. To lead others, use your heart. That's true for the law of connection. Always touch a person's heart before you ask him or her for a hand. Boom.
Boom, indeed.
More tools of the leadership toolbox in our quest for excellent leadership.
Acquired, unlocked, if you will.
So we're halfway through the book
Yep.
now, and hopefully we can get it wrapped up in the next 2 to 3 episodes. I'll do my best. I'll try.
Even
I'll try.
Trace is like,
Listen,
hell no.
as much as I enjoy this book, I am ready to get into another
Too
book.
good, and we have too many.
Well, there's a lot
I
of
think if people wanted to just hear you read the book, they just buy the damn book.
probably.
But I think it's good. It's good relational connection with our viewers and listeners.
I hope so.
For them to understand
and that's why we do
our
this.
points of view.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's why we do this
So
to
if
build.
it takes 3,000 episodes,
Oh, we'll get there.
then we're whatever. We're gonna get
In
it
the
done.
3,000th episode, I think we're going to have a really nice bottle of champagne on that episode. How's that?
Yeah. Yeah. Holy crap! 3,000. That's 10 years from now.
Good.
Good. Outstanding. I'm with it.
How much better will the beard be by then?
Oh, well, I might just look like Gandalf shit at that point. I don't even know. Can you beep our bad words? Whatever. I don't know many 11-year-olds that are looking for leadership.
It's all restaurant individuals or adults. It's all right.
The last form of piracy.
Indeed, that's a whole another podcast. Yeah, that was good content.
Good.
Good content halfway through.
Halfway through, yeah.
I feel like we've been able to directly relate a lot of whether they're past or even current situations of what we deal with and how we're using just even the first half of this book in our operations to continue to build our connections, improve our not just our relationships, but just our environment with our team so that they're better prepared and able to give better service, product, and interactions with our guests. Right? And it's a snowball effect at that point,
Yeah.
So, but hospitality through leadership, which is kind of the premise of this podcast. But it's great to be able to share this because, again, hopefully, my team members are listening, and anyone else in the hospitality industry is listening, and maybe there's some scenarios where you can apply some of the lessons and principles that we discuss in your restaurant.
I mean, we have other people outside of it. I'll shout him out because I know he's listening.
Shoot, do it.
Shout out to Chris Bowen.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Bowen's an avid listener.
Nice. What's up, Chris?
Yeah.
Boom.
He wanted to, he made some comments about our first one and asked what the hell I filmed it on.
Yeah, so did I.
So did everyone else.
That's all right. Listen, you got to start
That's about
somewhere.
growing.
Yeah.
Now we have these
Podcasts
mics on us.
Podcasts are a process. They
It is.
they happen daily, not in a day. Just like leadership.
Yep, absolutely. So yeah, I don't know. Now we're throwing stuff.
That was
So
impressive.
we can't have nice things.
So, Oyster Bar coming along well.
Oyster Bar's coming along.
Oyster Bar's coming along well.
Drywall. You
We
got
have drywall.
subway tiles.
We have subway. The tiles are up. The flooring's going down. The bar tops are halfway in. The main bar is mostly in, and then sorry, there's people downstairs looking.
There's
the windows.
fans outside.
Yeah. Yeah. So the main bar is in. The wall tiles are mostly up. The electric, like all like the can lights and stuff, those are all starting to go in.
Good. I need to go there tomorrow.
The rest of the bar tops should be done by the end of this week or next week. AC is predominantly done. The ceiling tile grids are in, and they're starting to put some of the tiles up, like with the ones that have to cut the holes out for the ACs and the lights and stuff. Yep. Cabinets are in. The rest of the flooring should go down soon. The equipment goes in soon. Like it's coming together.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to that.
We're shooting for our CO, Certificate of Occupancy. The GC told me late April. Okay. And we want to make sure we take our time to train and staff properly and do all that. Our leadership team is hired and they're in their restaurants practicing. Mm-hmm. And then we'll probably be hiring, let's say, late April, early May, a couple weeks of training and get it open by mid-May, maybe the third week of May if all things go well. Excellent. Depends on what the city and state do with all their bureaucratic paperwork. But most of them like me, so that's good. So they've been very helpful so far.
Yes.
What else? We've got the promenade. We did a 1-year-old birthday party here for our first.
We did. It was so awesome.
Our second event, because we did the Boys and Girls Club event, which was great.
Yep.
We've got some things coming up. We've got some wine dinners coming up here. We've got some things. Once we kind of finish a few things, we're really going to kind of start announcing what this is and how we're going to utilize it.
Absolutely.
What else? What else we have going on? Restaurants have been busy. Restaurants have been busy. The team's tired. They have been leading and executing at an amazing level. So if you guys are working in our restaurants and my team members, if you guys hear this, you guys are crushing it. I'm glad we're right there with you, but you guys are crushing it. I got to spend my first shift at Oak and Ember on Saturday.
I was there.
In like 3 weeks.
After I left here.
Yeah, in like 3 weeks, because you know what? They've been doing so well, and they've been doing so well. I've kind of been letting them do their thing without being in their way, and also too, when you look at, let's say, like where they were trending, they're not up. I mean, they're busy, but they're not up as much in growth as like Hutchinson Kitchen or Kyle G's. And I think that's due to the seasonality of the island and all the hotels there. So it's just like inundated. It's almost up like 100%.
Oak and Ember's a destination.
Where Oak and Ember's destination, it's more rural. So, they're up shore over where they were trending, but not to the degree. So I've been really helping out over there. So, we had some coverage and I said, I miss the O&E team. Let me go over there and let them know I still care and that I miss them. And it was awesome. And it was a great show of just everyone leading. And it was really cool. I was super proud of them. The Ocean, they're killing it, man. We got a new cocktail rollout today, which I'm gonna go check it out. And I'm gonna go learn how to make some of their cocktails because I don't like the bar, but I like going to the bar, but I don't like working the bar. But I'm gonna go do it. I'm gonna go subordinate my ego and learn how to make some of these delicious cocktails.
Learn some beverages. I like it. I was gonna try and FaceTime Matt and get him on the podcast with us, but if he's in the middle of service, that would be pretty irresponsible of me to. Let's try it.
Let's try it. Let's see if he can decentralize his command to take the FaceTime call. This is going to be great.
Hey. Are you? Did you say what?
Yeah, I said what?
Say hi. You're on the podcast.
You're on the podcast. We got you.
Okay.
I turned the AC on, Matthew.
Actually, I turned it on Saturday.
Oh, good.
What's up?
Nothing. Just want to say hi. Bye. We're going to get back to it.
What are you guys doing?
We're
talking about leadership.
We're talking about you.
Talking about leadership.
You guys have for like 3 hours.
Yeah.
A lot of leadership.
Hey, man, listen. Leadership is earned every minute. All right. There's no service there. All right. We'll get Matt on.
Finally.
As always, make sure you like, subscribe. Please share the videos. And then it'll be right here above my head. Just click that. Click the bell right there. That'll give you
notifications.
Where's the bell? down there.
Heard.
And then, man, as always, if you really want to support the channel, obviously your subscriptions, your likes are the biggest thanks we could ever get. We totally love it. Obviously, if you ever want to support us with our merch, got a bunch
Lots
of cool
of merch.
shirts, a lot more stuff coming up.
More shirts.
Merch. Right
More
there.
shirts are coming.
More shirts are coming.
We got to get something else other than shirts. We'll
One
figure it
step
out.
at a time,
We'll
Chef.
figure it out. Yeah, it's
Step
fine.
at a
We'll figure it
time.
out.
I got it.
Also, for your special occasions, birthdays, anniversaries, or whatever it is about life that you're happy with, come celebrate with us. We'll take great care of you. Let our team know that you're celebrating. Birthdays, we've had a couple weddings recently. Small weddings. Hey, we just got married. This, that. I mean, we like to make special memories in people's lives. It's how we serve smiles one plate at a time. We've had a couple of proposals. All kinds of great memories that make people smile while enjoying delicious food and excellent service. So make your reservation at any one of our restaurants, kylegrestaurants.com. Pick any of the brands and stay tuned for the Oyster Bar, and we'll get a promenade up and functional for you soon for you to come have more special moments with us, because it's not about us, it's about you. So with that, that's all I got.
Well said, sir.
That's all I've got.
That's it?
Yeah.
Okay, dude, cut it real quick before he starts talking to you. Thank you guys for listening.
Thank you,
guys for
everyone.
watching.
To my team, thank you. To our guests, thank you. And to the community, thank you.